Hey guys, Comet here. Welcome back to Oxygen Not Included. In the last episode, I built this 20 kilo sour gas boiler here. It's been running stably for the past, 100 cycles or so between episodes. The only change I really made was I added an extra steam turbine here on the right and left so that there's a total of 10 on top. The 8 just weren't quite enough. This room was actually getting above 200 at some points. So in this episode, there's a couple of things I want to get done. I said I was going to move the slicksters between episodes, but that actually caused like a chain reaction of things that needed to happen. So all of these slicksters over here are eating this CO2. So I can't just move these slicksters over to here and then not have anything eating this CO2. So I need to turn off the CO2 source, which means I need to get rid of the distillers and petroleum generators. But if I do that, then this side of the base won't have any power left. And I don't think these generators here are going to cut it. So what I'd like to do is get at least the generator portion duplicated over on this side of the map, because there's over 300 kilos of natural gas per tile down here. So it'll definitely have a source of power. I just need to convert the natural gas to power over on this side. But to do that, I can't make them out of gold amalgam, they'll break. I have to make them out of steel. That way I can run them hot, like I am over here. But I also noticed I don't have all that much lime anymore, so I can't make more steel. So what I'm going to do is finish off this set of natural gas generators and use this to power the left side temporarily. But you may notice there's a giant ceramic factory in the way, so I had to move that over to here. And this is going to be really fun to break into because there's over 4,000 kilos of pressure in here. So step one, I'm going to get rid of all of this. And we can watch the giant explosion of oxygen. It's so crazy, just forced everything out immediately. It's also a lot of polluted oxygen I'm going to have to deal with, but I've got deodorizers down the center of the map for that. Okay, with the old ceramic factory gone and all of the piping in place, I can turn on what steel generators I have over here to power the left side of the map. I need to get in some gas pumps underneath all these pipes, and I actually don't need this refinery anymore. I can just completely skip petroleum because I'm making natural gas right away. Now, I do have to be careful not to deconstruct this transformer. That is actually what's powering, if we follow this wire, over to these pumps here. And if these pumps ever lose power, then crude oil will stop, and the counterflow mechanism here will break, and then I'll lose the liquid lock separating the sour gas from the natural gas. So I have to be very careful that these pumps never lose power. And I think it's probably best if I run them off of the main power. That way I don't have to worry about this transformer anymore. So I have to very delicately snip that side and then power it from the main. It should be a seamless transition there. Now I don't care about this transformer. This can go away. I just need to set up something similar to this side over here. If I can just take a mental snapshot of that really quickly. I get it over here. So these need to go up into there. These need to zigzag to there. These go over to there. These go over to there. And then these can just go into there. Okay, that'll work. Now I need to get this whole grid onto its own power wire. So I'm going to sever that connection. So all the guts of the sour gas boiler are going to be powered by this side. Then I want to sever that connection. And then... Actually, I don't even need this wire here. This shouldn't be here. I want this to actually power the left side of the map. Like that. And then all this stuff down here, actually we can trace that back to that side here. Okay, so these generators should be able to power the entire left side of the map, no problem now. That means I don't actually need these at all. And the very last thing I need to do to make sure this keeps running, I gotta pipe this CO2 over to the new Slickster farm, back over here. And I'll probably redo this piping in the future. I kind of need it to work right now. So, just really sloppily get some piping in. Pressure in here is above 50 kilos, and it's nice and warm in preparation for the Slickster move. I don't want it to get too warm. I only want to ranch the base Slickster. I don't want to ranch molten Slicksters, because if I go straight to petroleum, then I won't have any crude oil left over to lubricate my bionic duplicants, because this runs off of crude oil, not petroleum. Now, all this lovely CO2 should flow over. I should be safe to deconstruct these petroleum generators and then stop the flow of wood to the ethanol distillers. So I'll stop producing CO2 here. That means I actually don't even need these carbon skimmers anymore. These can go away. I'll leave the pips here. They're not really hurting anything by being here. I mainly just wanted to stop the production of CO2 and then get these slicksters moved. Oh, there's the polluted water annoying me again. This is actually how I'm cleaning up the bottom of the map. I'm just putting all of the polluted water into oxygen. This is actually more water efficient than electrolyzers, but it does require you to, every once in a while, come in, destroy these, and then put them back in. But let's set these to Slicksters now. I want to do the base Slickster, max of 8. Go ahead and apply that to all of these. Then in here, I'm going to disable all of the critters, copy it across, and then wrangle all of them. And that should get them moved. to the other side of the map. I'm sure a duplicate's gonna drop some. I gotta watch. I should also plan out the incubators. So, out of steel, it's gonna be quite warm in this room. I can fit some incubators here at the bottom. I think I'm gonna drop off all of the eggs right here. So the auto sweeper can fit right here. And then, yeah, incubator, incubator. Can it reach all the way? So it can't reach this one over here because it can't reach the left tile. But it could, in theory, reach another one over here. For the amount of CO2 that I'm actually making from the natural gas generators, it's a lot less than what I was doing back over here. Back over here, I had 6 incubators going. But their uptime is really only about half. So I could get away with 3, and since it is less, yeah, I think 2 should be fine. So these will do slicksters on a priority 6. Actually, no, priority 5. But then in the loader, this is what will ship out the excess eggs. This will be priority 4. That way the incubators always get filled up first before the excess eggs get shipped out. And then I will need some sweepers in here to grab those eggs. And then some loaders here to send them out. All of this is going to need power. So I can either run the heavy wet wire through some joint plates, or I could figure out where to put in a power transformer. So I've got just enough space here for a pump, a hydro sensor, and a power transformer. Then I can very easily just run this up through here to hit all of the different equipment. So the eggs, meat, and shells just run down to here. There's the polluted water bugging me again. Always in the worst times. And by doing it this way, where all of the stuff is at the bottom here, I can always expand this up if I realize I have too much CO2. I can always add more slicksters to it later. Then to control the incubators, I can get in some sensors. Just right here. And ore them all together. And just have it go straight into the incubator. So if the critter count is below 8, not counting any eggs, send a green signal. Copy that to all of those. This loader here will ship out slickster eggs, molten slickster eggs, and I might occasionally get some long hair slickster eggs, so we'll go ahead and enable that too. Then I'm definitely going to have meat and eggshells here. So eggshells and meat. I want to ship that out. And then to make sure the incubators get filled up before the loader, I'm going to set this to priority 4. As for the loaders in the farms, or the ranches, these, they'll pick up Not eggshells, but sometimes some critters will die off, so need to ship out the meat and all of the eggs. Copy that to all of those. And then this can join up with that there. That should be fine, because that goes back up to the central storage here. Oh, I see you guys trying to escape. Nope, that's not allowed. See, this is why you guys can't be here. The crude oil displaced the salt water, and now it's breaking the... That would be really bad if that broke. I'm not letting all of this natural gas escape. So all of the oil that they produce is just going to be piped back down into the oil biome here, and just combine with everything else. Because again, I only have 11 oil wells, so it would take 12 to actually run 2 of these sour gas boilers. So I do need to compensate a little bit using slicksters. Recapture half of this CO2 as crude oil back. I'm gonna find a slickster in a really random location in like 100 cycles and not realize how it got there. I know a duplicant's dropped one in a really bad spot somewhere. I just gotta be on the lookout for it. But this whole area is cleaned out now, so I can start removing some of this. And I can't just open this up, because that's 600.5 kilos of pressure. I already had an explosion of oxygen, and it's still like 60 kilos of pressure here. It's kind of ridiculous. So I might have to put in some gas pumps here and pump over all of the CO2 to this ranch. I want to repurpose this space not only for the sour gas boiler I plan on putting over here, but this top portion right underneath the pips, I need to put in some more poke shells, not the sandy shells, but just the base poke shell. I've got a few back up here. I need their molts, because like I said at the beginning of the episode, I'm out of lime, so I can't make more steel. Now, poke shells can actually live in CO2 just fine, as long as they're not in water. Let's see, so if they're in water, they'll turn into sandy shells, and if they're in ethanol, then they turn into oak shells. So if I just leave them in the CO2, they shouldn't morph. And this is already the correct size for ranches, width-wise, so it shouldn't be too difficult to just convert this over to a poke shell ranch. And then they can eat all of this polluted dirt that's stacked up right here. So while I'm slowly pumping out the CO2, I can be building up some poke shells for lime, so that I can get my steel production going again. So let's get rid of all of this, and all of this. There's a mess of shipping in here that I don't need anymore. All of this can go. Oh, looks like I missed a spot with the drywall. Back when I first set this up, that's funny. So I'll just make, like, the most generic poke shell farm I can think of here. So I'll want poke shells and poke shell spawns. Max 8. We'll copy that. And then we'll get these guys right here wrangled up. And then I think I have a few back over here. No, looks like they died off. From these 4 poke shells, I will construct my steel empire. So I'm starting to pump over the carbon dioxide through all of these pipes over to the relocated slicksters. This ranch is pretty much complete now. I can always add on to it later. I'm still working on the pokeshell ranch. Now, unfortunately, I can't force them to all be stuck over in this area. I need the walls to be one wider on the left and on the right. I didn't bother doing that width-wise because I knew I was going to be ranching pips here. And I actually didn't have the space because I was right up against this volcano. There's no point in forcing pips over into this area because they could always just walk out. And I can't block them by putting water on top of the door because they have to walk over and eat these trees. So, long story short, the pokeshell ranch is dimensionally tied to the pip ranch. So I need to make the sweepers just like the pip ranch. In the future, if I make a permanent pokeshell ranch, I can always incorporate the door to keep them closer to the grooming station. For now, I'm just going to ship everything out to the side, down over to here. Can drop off all the eggs right here, and then any eggs that won't fit in the incubators can go up to this line here. And that's just the old egg return line. And for power, I still got these transformers down here which I could use. So I'll get all of these powered up. And then, technically, I can just get rid of this whole thing here, too. I don't need this anymore. I don't plan on ever ranching sandy shells again. And then the last thing I want to do to get this area cleaned up is just to have these pumps pump out all of this polluted water and crude oil. So I'm just going to send the polluted water and crude oil to their respective locations. So I want to set these loaders to basically be, well, everything, including critter eggs. Copy that. Then down here, this I want to be all of the sand, bolts, and eggshells. And then eventually, once I fill up all the farms, I'll set this to be the pinch row eggs. But for now, I just want to keep all the eggs down in here. I need to populate all of these ranches before I ship out the extra eggs. As for these bottles of ethanol, I think I'm just going to... See, I had a spot back over here. Yeah, right here. I was just dumping a whole bunch of ethanol. Let's continue that. I'll figure out what to do with it later on. The remnants of the Sandy Shell Ranch is all gone now. And I'm noticing... Well, I've slowly been noticing my calories dropping. That is actually because I don't think I have quite enough farmers, or this is just in a really bad spot. If you notice, a lot of these water weeds, they do have the farmer's touch, but every once in a while, I will come across one that doesn't have it. So I'm just not getting quite enough lettuce out of this, even though I should be in theory. So rather than redesigning the whole thing, I can actually squeeze in a couple more of these natural tiles and get some pips to plant more of these water weeds. So, for instance, I don't need a gap of 2 between them. I can get away with just a gap of 1. So the next natural tile would be here, then it would be plant, tile, plant, tile, plant, tile, plant, tile, plant, like that. Which gives me 7 per floor instead of 5. So I'm gonna have to get another pip into here to redo all this. Because of the ordering, I do have to replant the entire farm. I gotta start up in this top right, work my way left, and then start here, work my way left again. I thought I had sufficiently overbuilt this, but I guess I hadn't. It seems like the dupes prefer to do other things than keep themselves from starving. But it's good that I catch this now, rather than before it becomes a major problem. Because I've got plenty of surplus calories to eat in the meantime. Alright, who's gonna be the lucky pip that plants everything for me? How about you? Let's relocate you over to here. And then I'll get in a storage bin to drop off some seeds. And someone mentioned I use crown molding here instead of ladders. That way I don't risk the dupes coming over and actually building these, because they can't build the crown molding if there's no tile above it. So the ghost tile will still block the pip from planting there. It won't actually cost me any duplicate labor. Now, technically, I could get another pip into this layer and do this section. Now that this pip has planted along to the left, as long as they're not right on top of each other, I can do them simultaneously, kind of like at a diagonal. So let's get another pip going. How about you? Let's relocate you. You over to here. Yeah, so that pip was able to plant. No interference between the different levels. Okay, looks like this guy's gonna go plant the last one over here. Excellent. Let's get you moved down to here now. Yeah, doing the layers in parallel at a diagonal is much faster than doing them all in series. Is that the last one here? Yeah, I think that's gonna be the last one. Alright, Pip, thank you for your services. Let's send you back over to the ranch. This Pip is going to plant the final waterweed plant here. There we go. Okay, let's get you back over to the ranch. I didn't really have any major projects to do in this episode. Just a bunch of little things, like getting the slicksters moved, making more steel, getting this finalized. Oh, I know. Very last thing I could do. I could put in the monument. Somewhere up here in space. How about right here, next to this ladder? So the base... The midsection must be overlapping monument middle. I guess I need to build that first. But I don't have enough of something for this. Let's see. Do I have enough glass? I've got 1,500 kilos. This needs 2,500 kilos. What about diamond? Do I have enough diamond? Got 26. That needs 25. Yeah, just enough. Okay, let's make some glass. Alright, and then we can put the top on there. Let's customize this a little bit. I like that and that. Alright, Ellie, give me the achievement. Oh. Oh. This is kind of cool. Few civilizations throughout time have had the privilege of understanding their origins. The one thing that matters is that we are here now, and we make the best of the world we've been given. I'm proud to say, this asteroid is our home. Home sweet home. And now the only thing I need to do is the Great Escape. And then a couple of other random achievements in here somewhere. I like Nisbet. We're gonna do Nisbet. This one looks really funny. It's like she's scheming. Well, I think that's a good place to end it, getting the monument and the achievement for this episode. Like I said, yeah, just a bunch of random little things, like redoing the lettuce here, getting the slicksters moved, and then getting renewable steel through these pokeshells here. Plans for the next episode, I do want to double the sour gas boiler. At least the generator portion, I probably don't need that much sour gas. That'd be 40 kilos of crude oil processing. I mean, if I look at pressures down here, it's over 500 kilos already. So realistically, I probably only just need to double the 2 generators over on this side. I think this geyser might be in the way if I trace that over. Yeah, it's in the way of these turbines. But we'll see. I might just leave space down the center, just in case I want to put it in the future, and then just double the 2 generator halves. That way I can split up the map into 4 separate power grids, and then never have to worry about the power wires overloading. So that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.